Hey, 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 welcome to the Codename Sister Podcast. This is your host, Nandi. This is my first episode of 2022. And last year I went through it so many times where I said, oh, I'm going to do this closeout at the end of 2021, a wrap up, a mashup like I'd been doing, and just never got around to it. I think I've got more going on since this pandemic started than I did prior to. And it's a good thing. I mean, I've experienced so many new things, so much growth, just so many revelations, and it's kept me so occupied with the growth, so addicted to the growth that just sitting down to do a podcast had basically taken a backseat. When I first started the podcast, I was like, I've got so much to say that I'll be doing a podcast like every day. And then, of course, that was at the beginning of the lockdowns and shutdowns and whatever you want to call them. And I totally expected that there would be so little to do that I would just have all this extra time at the computer. But it was like my mind went into overdrive. I wrote a book. I got hooked on skating. Business got busier. It was like everybody wanted deodorant. Everybody wanted whipped body butters. So that took off. And I mean, it hasn't been what I could say has been a boring moment since then. So yeah, they closed my pool down in Atlanta, because they shut everything down in Atlanta, man. It was just like hardly anywhere to go. For people who like to go places. If you like to go to restaurants and, all of those venues, a lot of those were, shut down for a long time. The good thing is I love being outside. So as long as I can do outside activities, I don't never have to go sit in a restaurant or one of the other things. So that wasn't like something that was a big thing for me, with the exception of not being able to go swimming when I wanted to, because, shall I say it again, Atlanta and all its shutdowns. A lot of businesses that depended on people to come in have suffered tremendously. So the shutdowns, I mean, in the end, I can't really say what the benefit has been. I know, some people might say, well, it kept a lot of people alive, but did it? Because in these last couple of years, we're still losing people. I've lost people close to me. I mean, it was even said, get the injection and that'll help you not have such severe symptoms and, just so much stuff. And I've known people who've gotten all the injections they were told to get and they still died. So, I mean, it's been crazy. There's been a lot of chaos, and I know that our country kind of thrives on that organized chaos. That's what I like to call it, because that's what it is. To us it seems chaotic, but it's part of an organizational strategy of control that seems to be prevalent in this country and other countries around the world. So it got to the point where it was like, you know what? I'm just going to live. I'm going to do a lot of the things that I said I wanted to do. One of those things was writing a book. I did that. I fell in love with skating all over again. So I've been doing that. Man, skating has been like therapy for me. And it's a challenge. So many times things have come easy to me. Not always, but usually when there's something that I like doing, it usually comes pretty easy for me. Like writing. I love writing. So it comes easy for me. Finding great formulas for my products in my business, Nandi's Naturals. Yes, there's been some trial and error, but there's been so many times when I've hit that formula right the first time, and that's what I've ran with from that point on. So even my firearms classes, I love teaching people to shoot firearms, and seeing that change between when a student arrives and they're kind of they're afraid of the gun, they're afraid of even a bullet that ain't even in the gun, and by the time they leave the class, they've got enough confidence to load around into the magazine and load the gun and fire the gun, and and they want to just keep shooting. So even in that, like I said, usually when I focus my attentions on something, the challenges are usually something that at some point is easy for me to overcome. Skating, on the other hand, it's been a total relearning because I'm coming to it with more weight than I had on me when I used to skate back in the day. When you get to a certain age, you think about falls and injuries. So I've got that blockage to get past, and so it's just been it's been one challenge after another. But when I look at where I was when I went back to skating in April of 2020, and where I am now in January of 2022, I mean, I've made so much progress. I'm skating my forward game is strong as hell. My backwards game was the slowest to come to me, and that's been now making that's been happening for me. So it's been like really, really exciting doing skating backwards, doing transitions, where you turn to go from front to back or from back to front, or just stopping or whatever it is. Those also were kind of like a challenge for me. And now that I'm picking up on those, and they're starting to click in my head, and I'm mastering them, it's just like, skating is just like I said, it's therapy. Our range is closed until May, the range that I normally do classes out of. So that's going to be on hold for a while, because to go out there and find another range is going to be a headache and a half, especially since I pretty much like outdoor ranges. I don't like the indoor ones. I don't like the buildup of lead. I don't like the loud noises in there. I don't like being in such a confined area with a lot of people who don't know what they're doing but think they know what they're doing. The ones that I'm talking about. And that's not to say that everybody who goes to indoor range is like that. There are some highly skilled people who go to indoor ranges, but there's some truly incompetent people who go to the indoor ranges as well. And they own guns. They own lots of guns. And sometimes they end up like shooting the side wall or the ceiling or something like that. You got the show offs in there. And again, it's too much noise. If you're doing a class, it's kind of hard to teach a student over the noise. The noise actually upsets a lot of the women who take classes, and so that makes it a little bit harder for them to learn as well. Outdoors, of course, you're going to still have, your run-of-the-mill where you got people out there that don't have a high skill level when it comes to firearm safety, because I would prefer you to be someone with good safety skills than a great shot. Because if you got good safety skills, you're going to shoot within your level of competence, So I would rather you have that safety thing on lock than to come out there and you might be a great shooter, but you real lax on your safety, because being a good shooter could just mean you end up killing somebody or injuring somebody. So, but that's what I've had going on in my world. I guess this did turn into sort of a mashup, right? Because it's so many things by and by that's been going on. The most saddening thing that I've seen is from so many people, even that are like on friends list of mine on social media, where they're basically like bad mouthing people because they did or didn't get the injection. Provide the information and move on. It's not your job to sit there and play God over someone else's decision. Let that be their decision. They have to live with the consequences of that. You don't. And contrary to what, some of them say, but yeah, suppose they give us the, this virus thing. Well, you know what? Whether they got the injection or not, they can still give you the virus thing. And whether you got the injection or not, you can still catch the virus thing. So what are we talking about here? It's almost like people have lost their ability to reason. And despite what they see or hear, even in the news, that might not even speak from their point of view, they're still stuck on that, and they're still there using it as some type of weaponry against other everyday people. And it's like, what happened to holding the ones who caused this accountable? When did it become that your neighbor is the enemy, or your mom or your dad, or, somebody close to you, all of a sudden they're an enemy because they refused the injection, or because they did get the injection, so now you don't want these people in your house or in your proximity? And, the whole thing is just, it's insane. And a lot of the attitudes that I have seen about it is insane. I've seen people, like I said, gang up in a comment thread, and you start talking about people's IQs and stuff. And it's just like, you can have a high IQ and still make dumb decisions. Like, when did an IQ set you apart from people using common sense? An IQ and your common sense are not the same thing. And even if we look at IQ tests, they weren't designed for people with some color in their skin. I mean, let's just be frank about that. So if you believe that your IQ, even if you think that your AP classes made you more intelligent than the next person, made you more able to make good sense decisions, you are so wrong. There was a time when I believed that my education set me apart. I had that thinking, that elitist thinking. And then what happened was, it took for certain things to befall myself and my children for me to realize that I was a systems person. I was upholding the system's official story. And it wasn't one that benefited me or my children. It caused injury to us. But my education is what made me believe that I knew better than people who didn't have the education. I think I speak sometimes back in the day when I made sure that when my children were like really young, my oldest ones, that, they got into the doctor for every single appointment that they're supposed to have, that they got the shots that they were supposed to have. And I would snub my nose at my younger sister because she didn't take her children in to get the shots. And it wasn't really because she didn't believe in them, but it just that it would take time away from her watching her soap operas and stuff. So she didn't really care about that kind of stuff, But the thing about it was, her children rarely got ill during those years. My children caught everything. Every cold that came along in school, they got it. But it wasn't until 2 of my children were injured by shots, and one of my grandbabies was injured by shots, that it dawned on me that there's a connection here, and you need to do more research into it and forget this idea of you're so fucking highly educated that ain't nobody can tell you shit, that you already know this, And when I started doing my research and I recognized the connection that was happening there, it was just like, oh, you know what? I'm not allowing any more of my children to have any more of these shots. There's just no good reason for it. We're going to just go ahead with this risk benefit analysis, and we're going to just if you call it a risk, then we're going to just go ahead and take the risk. And that's what I've done. And from that point on, it was no more vaccines. And for my younger one, none, period. Like, she doesn't even know what a shot is, And and as long as she wants to stay that way as a child, she's going to stay that way. Once she becomes an adult, that's on her what she does. But I hope that she takes the sound evidence that is provided to her from her mother and from sources that she can also go and verify, and she makes good decisions for herself and any children that she may have. But I'm saying that to say is, don't get caught up in your little education. Don't let your little degrees and stuff let you get your ass handed to you because you think that you are more intelligent than other people who may not have those degrees or whatever. And a lot of times you're talking shit about people that you don't even know. You don't know what those people have. Those people could have the degrees that are, that have more weight than yours. They could have more advanced degrees than you. They could have more experience. You could be talking to microbiologists and biologists and virologists and stuff, and you don't know because they don't share that on social media. So you're the one who are actually you being foolish and you don't even know it. So, but the point that I'm really trying to make is stop fighting everyday people, because everyday people aren't necessarily your problem. I mean, they can bring problems to you, but it starts at the top. because the top is where the divide and conquer approach is being used to turn one person against another. That's how we've gotten to the point where you have so many family members and stuff that are now divided. Yes, you've always had factions among families. You've always had some type of divisiveness, but none like what we are seeing today over an injection. This is the craziest thing. And like I said, when you think about the consequences, the fact that whether you have been injected or you haven't, you can still spread this viral thing. What are we arguing about? So do you care so much about whether this person lives or dies if they get the viral thing? Okay, well, what about the ones who have gotten the injection and they still getting the viral thing? Why isn't that concerning you? And then at the same token, for those who it does concern, but you're twisting it and saying it's because of the ones who haven't gotten it, that the ones who have the injection now have the virus. That's just plumb crazy, because you can't prove that. You can't prove it. So let's try to find better ways to get along, to keep some type of cohesiveness going, because if you don't, there's some bad people out here. And when they finish with you, it's going to be too late to sit back and say, man, I wish I had listened. Man, why didn't I see this? Damn, man, I thought I had it all figured out. These people play games with us all the damn time. That is one thing that has not changed since they have set foot on this continent. They have come here. They have been manipulative and controlling. They're profit-driven. They're control-driven. And they're going to do anything to meet those ends. And that's what we have to understand. And then when I see these brown folks, these non-white folks, I'm going to put it like that, non-white folks. When I see these non-white folks showing their ass for the man, running campaigns for the man, it's just like, yeah, have y'all learned nothing? Have you learned nothing from the plight of your ancestors? Do you understand that you are disgracing your ancestors? The fact that you put all your trust in somebody who has never done right by you. Never. Any of the good things that have happened have usually been by default. It ain't because they made a concentrated effort to help you or help us. That's never been the case. So I don't understand when I see so many of y'all out there at each other's throat, man, and thinking that you smart with it. That's the part that gets me. Smart. We align smart in modern day with being intelligent, but one of its original definitions was about pain. And so think about that in terms of pain. You so smart, you hurt yourself. My grandmother used to always say, oh, you think you smart. She would always say that. And what she meant by that, you think because you got this education, this book education, that you know so much, but you're going to fall on your face and bust your nose. That's what's going to happen. And when she would tell us that, when I look back on those days and the reasons the situations that were unfolding when she would say it, that's exactly what would happen. That's exactly it, because you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. So now you can't fucking breathe. So let's not use even this whole thing about the injections as our only way to be healthy, to thrive. That's not, there's never one answer for something when it comes to something like that. When it comes to your health, there ain't just no one answer to it. And with everybody's body being so different, why would you want to subject everybody to this injection? And then think about people who cannot, for some reason or another, take these injections. So that makes them bad people too. That makes them people that you need to treat like they're lepers. I mean, come on, let's make this make sense, So that means that if somebody in your family can't take it because of some medical reason, then you just split yourself off from them too, right? My thing is, if you got it, you got the injection, what are you afraid of? I'm not afraid. I haven't been afraid since this thing started. And maybe that makes me crazy. But I figure what's for me is for me, and when it's time for me to leave here, I'm going to leave regardless of what conditions it's under. None of us know what those conditions are. I mean, unless you're planning to take your life, or unless you're terminally ill and you about to, die at any time, that death rattle has already started. Other than that, you don't know the day or the place or whatever, or, you're being executed. Maybe you might, but I mean, come on, people. At some point, you have to look at how far this has gone. And you have to also look at what other measures can you take to make sure that your health is as good as it can be. If you know you overweight, you morbidly obese, find ways to lose weight. Get some activity in your life. Cut down on your stress levels. Stop letting every damn thing frighten you, including whether or not somebody has a damn injection. All of those are stressors. Stressors run through the blood and cause issues, high blood pressure, bad heart conditions, all kinds of other problems. So you got to look at that. No injection is going to save you from a horrible lifestyle. And when I say lifestyle, that includes everything. That includes what you eat and drink, your sleep, your stress patterns, your rest, all of those things, the sunlight, the air you breathe, the air quality, all of that stuff. One injection, 2 injections, boosters, all of those things, none of those things are going to save you if you're not doing what's best for your body. So don't believe that you can show up there and get a little shot in your arm and you weigh 400 pounds and you're going to be okay. Okay? That's not how that works. And that's what it almost seems like even when we listen to the media. They come at us like that is the only answer. There's only one answer, and it involves some liquid in a fucking needle. And that is not the only answer. If that was the only answer, it would have to be because they designed it that way so that nothing else works. And they haven't designed it that way. But I guarantee you, they're working on that shit. That's what they're working on. When people talk about all this gain of function and stuff, that's why that term even exists, because they're working on ways to shut y'all down. So you might be feeling like you highly intelligent and your IQ higher than everybody today, but they coming for your ass eventually. And no injection or nothing like that. If they ever can get it to the point where they can circulate it out into the wild, none of that shit is going to save you. Okay? So stop letting people imprison your mind, because once your mind is imprisoned, the body is easy. It's really, really simple. And that's the first thing that I got to share with y'all at the beginning of this Gregorian year, 2022. I'm going to try to get back here before the actual new year starts, when the leaves and the grass starts to turn green and the buds start coming on the trees. That's the actual new year. This is some stuff that they cooked up, this whole thing right after the solstice. But we're going to flow with it. Since they say it's 2022, we're going to go with the fact that it's 2022, because ain't nobody give a fuck if I say it's not 2022. But the people who know. All right? So I'm going to leave y'all with that. It's been good coming back. I know that this episode was probably a little bit more serious than some of the other ones that I do. But, hey, I just figured I was going to free flow on this one. And whatever comes of it, that's what was going to go. This is going to be my first and only take on it. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, rate, review. If there's a review system, a comment system anywhere on the podcast platform that you're using, please leave me comments and review. If there are topics and ideas that you have that you would like me to speak on, or even people you would like me to interview on certain subjects, because you may not know this, but I know a lot of people who know a lot of shit. Okay, so if there are some ideas, some concepts and stuff that you have, or if you're somebody you think that I might be interested in picking the brain of on one of my episodes, reach out to me. Okay, y'all reach out to me. Let me know. This is Nandi, Codename SISTA Podcast. Thank y'all for being here. I appreciate you.